forum and a group of people. We'll have a few more people to join us. Um, thank you everyone who's thank you to the few new names that didn't make it yesterday. They're making it along. Hope you can pick up what we're doing and what we're talking about. And basically also expect that there's maybe after thinking a little bit about yesterday, there's probably going to be some questions and ideas that come back up today as well. So really open to those. I'll get started by sharing my screen. Making sure I don't have anything personal up on my screen before I share anything on my screen. Sorry. We're going to get started by doing a whiteboard or if you want to do it as a chat activity or do it as just taking the microphone, you're more than welcome to. So just remember, so we're going to use the whiteboard. You find the whiteboard by going normally up to the top, going to the view options, and then you get the drop down window, then you choose annotate, and then you should see a toolbar that comes up on your left hand side. And I'm gesturing my hands. One of my frustrating things that I was doing at the dinner table was I was explaining something with my hands to my son, and he was trying to eat and look at his food, and it was sort of like, oh, I'm going to have to actually explain, not with my hands, how this works, rather than with my hands, the gesture. So with the annotation tools, the most useful one for what we're doing at the moment is a text tool. So the text tool means you can basically click on the text tool, then click on somewhere on the screen and write. Now, one of the things I even forgot to say yesterday is no one else can see what you've written on the whiteboard until you've actually clicked away. So you write something and then you click away. Now, can you please like we can start with
Robin,
a
hi Robin, would
what?
you please go back to the first slide there again, where the toolbar, yes, that's the one. The next one.
Next one.
Yeah, that one, let me check something. Okay.
Yours will be coming up on the left-hand side.
Thank you. Okay, continue.
You got it? Cool. Okay. So now you can press the text tool, the T icon, and then click on somewhere on the screen to be able to annotate and basically say which. So share with us 3 things you're not sure about when it comes to facilitating the PBDT course. We might be able to demystify some of these, we might not be able to. So if you're on a mobile, yes, okay. So I was about to say, if you're on a mobile, probably using the chat or microphone. I thought that the whole thing didn't work on a microphone, Tamza. That actually surprises me. The facilitator, this is one of those moments where I just sort of have to pause because I know if people that are going to do it on the whiteboard, it just takes a little moment to do that. I'm not very good at stopping talking and having silence. One of the things I also really like about this the whiteboard activities is they're basically anonymous. And I quite often when I'm facilitating in our rooms, we turn off the notification. So you don't see. Ah, okay, cool. In terms of materials to use in my first session. So that's that induction session that Mick and Clint ran at the beginning. Are all the materials going to be provided? Mick, were you thinking whether we'd actually address some of these things now?
I think might as well. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So you'll get teacher level access to the course. You'll get all the PowerPoint presentations. Some of the PowerPoint presentations do have session notes with them. Some of them don't have session notes. Where there's other things like there's been discussions, you'll get those in a separate document as well. It's on the endless list of things to do to compile all the mixed messages into a document as well. So you've got those drafted, ready to put your own feel onto them. I find when I get those from someone else, and those happen as well. The other thing, it's been challenging as we made changes to the course, but you will also, sorry, Sprout Labs and we operate in a fairly traditional way. Me as a learning designer doesn't actually do things in Moodle. And that is, so essentially I've put everything in storyboards, and that's actually, you'll get those as well. So you'll get the actual source material for the Moodle stuff.
You also get all the assessment tasks and marking guides, and hopefully we'll have ready for you the mapping of all those against the relevant, not all of it, the relevant competencies from the blended TVET COL teacher competencies.
Well, and how to organize breakout our sessions. We can actually possibly file that away as a really good thing to actually do when we do some of the mentoring, Mick. What am I thinking as well? Let's put my closed captions off because someone's put something.
That question about the valuation is a really good one.
Yeah. Do you want to answer that way? Because I can't see because I've got closed captions on. I can't see the bottom one. Sorry, so I just have to stuff around for a moment.
That's all right. Well, I was thinking with that one, we did a midway evaluation with you all, so you could probably reuse that. We could probably make a copy of that for you it's in Google. You could probably repeat that twice, maybe with some additional questions, but that might be something for us to think on the third night. Because I was wondering about that when Robert was speaking too, whether he was going to provide some form of evaluation. I don't know if he's going to separately evaluate you all. We're a bit tricky and got you to do the evaluation, but I think we got better results than if we'd done it, which is how we based this session, really. But that's a very good question to take up with him. Because you would probably want consistency across all the deliveries so that you can, see if there's anything more in the course needs to be changed or adapted from all your experience as champions. And we kind of found an evaluation at the midpoint helped us to see where there were some problems. And
Mm.
a positive outcome of what you told us midpoint was we ended up doing more breakout room activities, and we changed the assessment so they're more about doing than knowledge.
Whoever put that, are you going to develop your own evaluation forms to assess competencies for our participants? I read that as more about your, like the marking guides, and the marking guides will all be provided, so you won't need to develop those.
And I think Robert said, I didn't quite follow this, but I think you've got to do the assessment of your learners, but he's going to get someone external to validate the assessments and your feedback to them, is how I read that. I'm not quite sure how that will work.
Cool. So the plan at the moment is you're going to use the Skills for Jobs Moodle platform. You will be, Commonwealth of Learning has an admin person called Fred. Can't remember his last name. He's based in Kenya. He will do the enrollments. This is one reason why Robert's sitting there saying you need to give me the names, because he needs to do do that. As you get the teacher trainer level access to that course, you will then be able to look at the participation reports to be able to see what's happening. Hopefully that makes sense. Lynette, can you take the microphone for a moment and say what platform you're using?
You're talking to me? Sorry, I was just typing.
Lynette, sorry.
About
Lynette,
platform for...
How are we going to use platforms other than Zoom?
Oh, okay. So something like Microsoft Teams, or even something like, which is a really good tool, is the Google Meet is a reasonable tool. I think I remember some of you talking about having access to Big Blue Button. I'm not a great Teams user, but I don't think it has a whiteboard capability in Teams. I've just got a job myself teaching trainers here in Australia, and I'm going to be using Teams. I'm a bit nervous about it because I'm so used to Zoom, but I'm not fully sure of the tool that's there. We've been using my Zoom Room only for the last couple of weeks because our registration ran out, but I dare say you could probably use Coles. There's probably an approach I would take with that would be you had to register, remember, and how confusing that was and difficult, and people forgot their links, and so that's probably something we need to clarify with Robert if you're able to use the Zoom rooms at different times. But you would be able to do most things. I don't think Google Meet and Teams don't have breakout rooms. So if you can organise to use Zoom through Robert, or even institution can buy a one-user license, it probably costs them, I don't know, about 250 Australian dollars, maybe less, or they might even have access to it. So that would probably be the gold standard, I think. But if you've got Teams, then we'd have to look at how comfortable your institutions were to say, flick some tools on for you. Like if it's got polling or whiteboards or breakout rooms to get those enabled. And quite often they're not enabled in large institutions we found here in Australia because they use them for meetings rather than teaching. So that might be a bit of a tricky conversation at your end if you choose to use Microsoft Teams.
And it's the Microsoft Teams can do whiteboards and breakout rooms. Okay. But I've never, to pick up on that, Mick, I've never encountered an organization that we work with that's had them turned on.
Yeah, that's my experience too.
That's my thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually that they can do it. But yeah, okay. So,
But Robert, there are a couple of really good free whiteboard tools that you just need a URL for and people can use. I've used those a couple of times with some like adult education organizations that are, you know, poorly funded, don't have much money, and they're free and they're perfect. They're like a whiteboard. They're basic, but they do the job for discussions. I'll see if I can dig it up.
yes, you'll use the same quizzes and the same actually, you use the same quizzes and then possibly the same or similar assessments, which is actually what we're going to focus on today, which is actually the reworking that we'll do in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, but you will use the same thing, and I think Robert did mention a report as well. At the end as well. Someone asked about team teaching. Yes, that's really fine. And that was one reason why I actually asked that question of Robert, that team teaching is actually okay. Which units are best to deliver online? I've got a strong, really strong opinion on this. And this is really challenging where you possibly got your participants literally in the same building as you, is you are trying to get people to experience what blended learning is and what online learning is. Doing as much of it online is the best way to go. So the one thought I've actually had as I saw that question was if you were doing the supporting self-paced learning with a group of people who'd never used Moodle before, so they don't know how to find the participation report. In Moodle, that would make a really good unit and good things to do face to face in terms of getting people all in a lab together to be able to show them the sort of teacher functions.
Robert, what did you make of Robert's comment last night that because we're truncating it, and this is kind of relevant to what we're going to do later, but shorten the course to 2 months, and the idea people could have a longer time to possibly do some of the self-study parts or submit assessments. But did you read that as an opportunity to consolidate the course a little?
Okay, I have to make a very public apology. I didn't clock that was actually what he was talking about. Yeah,
I
because
just saw the recording today.
it does mean possibly running 2 sessions a week and increasing the workload for the participants to get through all the material that's needed.
Yes, and it seemed to be saying that he wanted to model blended learning because that was the way to go for TVET and COL. So I think there's a question up there about which unit might lend themselves more to the face-to-face and which to the online. Someone made a really good comment yesterday about the face-to-face can be a really good way of introducing people in a supported way to the technology, to Moodle, to Zoom, practicing forums, that sort of stuff. So that's kind of something that would be useful to think of, particularly in your teams as well. You might have some teachers that are strong on face-to-face and others more comfortable online, that you can share the load a little bit.
Cool.
That monitoring one is a beauty, isn't it?
Yeah. Emily, can you just take a screenshot of this? Because this is, thank you. This is really valuable. It really helps feed into the mentoring. And I'm hoping Emily's taken screenshots, so it's easier than having to go back to recording. So I'm actually going to clear my screen. And I'm going to impromptu do something which I don't like doing. which is to demystify. So here, this is the set of many of the files that we've been using for doing this program. So say the prepare and present flipped classroom. You'll get here the workbook, the risk assessments, the documents are all added. Index what all the files are. I'm not quite sure if this delivery plan got finished while we're doing everything. Some of them will have these types of things in them as well.
Some of the PowerPoints are annotated as well with guidance for what you might do with that particular slide.
So here, this is a set of stuff that we didn't actually deliver. You saw the toolkit, but say the presentations, if you did want to deliver them, sorry, is that what am I looking for? What is virtual classroom facilitation? Not all of them actually will have this level of notes to them. But some of them will have this level of notes to them. But demystify a bit more about what you'll actually see or and get a little bit. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, Robin, the workbook, you have it
Mhm.
there, so we'll be getting the template to use, right?
Yes, yep.
Okay, because our principal, we were planning to create a similar workbook, but we don't have to do that.
No, you don't need to do that.
Okay, then thank you.
And the assessment tool will be all set up for you as well, so that your participants can submit easily, but you might just have to change the due dates and those things.
The question I want to also ask,
Mhm.
we are going to be using our own Moodle platform. Is that the arrangement? The institutions using their own LMS, learning management system.
In this first instance, the idea was to use the Commonwealth of Learning one, and for everyone to be given training level access in the course. If you wanted to use your own, you could be given a backup of the Moodle course to be then uploaded into your Moodle course.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So you
Yes.
don't. How do I put it? I don't think Robert's doing it yet. You have to use Cole, but to make it easier so that you don't have to get it all set up in your own Moodle instance, he is offering for you to use it in Commonwealth Online.
Okay, so we'll be using the call system that will be there if anything we can put it on our system as a backup for future use after this training of the 6 participants.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, then fine.
So I will get to you in a moment.
Okay,
So
then thank you.
you'll have the same level of access as what I've got here and Mick's got here. So in here, I can go and see the enrolled users.
Right.
I can come into the reports. I can look at activity completion.
Mhm.
And I can see who has and hasn't done different activities in the course as well. So then you'll be able to see participants and your grading through as well.
Okay, then thank you so much.
Yeah, because a couple of people were asking about that. I actually find that a lot of our clients who work with Moodle, they'll give people full editing rights to courses, not this teacher access. It is a little bit unusual to only get this sort of partial access. And Bella, finally I'll stop talking for a moment. Do you want to take the microphone, Frida, Bella, or Frida, and take Bella? Yeah. Or Bella, you don't have any questions now?
Robin,
Mhm.
yes, I do have a question. I'm a bit lost. Maybe perhaps because I was not here yesterday. So you say we must develop our own online class, right? Am
Cool.
I right?
Okay. I wasn't sure who was here and not here, so
Yesterday I was not here, so I might
Cool.
have been lost a lot of information. But are we doing this on Moodle or on the Commonwealth platform?
yeah. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. This is my very short summary. It's worth listening to watching the recording, because Robert Akinda from Cole talked for about 10 minutes and then answered questions for about 50 minutes. So whatever I do now is very short. So the idea is that each master trainer in this course now takes the course and delivers that to 6 more people in your institutions. That can be done in a team way, so you can get together with other people in your institutions and get together, say, three trainers together and have a cohort of 18 together. So, and then those people will hopefully then train other people in the course as well to really embed blended delivery in your actual courses. So you're not expected to develop a course. This first stage is that what you're doing is really delivering this course, and then in the long run, the plan would be that you would actually sit there and go, actually, I don't like this bit of the course. I'm going to rework it totally and do it in this way. So that evolves over time to make sure it works for you.
Okay.
Cool. The other thing, Bella, just to make sure, and this is my summary of it, Robert is negotiating with your senior, and because he normally works with principals and CEOs, he is negotiating with each one of the institutions to pay the institutions so that you have time and data access to be able to deliver the course. And then his next vision that is you all become consultants for Cole to deliver the course in your institutions at our other institutions as well.
Thank you, Robin.
Yeah, cool. Frida.
Thank you. You're getting me?
Yes, got you.
Yes. For me, it's just the sequence of the program as we begin to roll it out. I just wanted to know. I know there's workbook 1, 2, and 3, but then my concern is over the slides. Is it going to be clear, or we'll have many slides? Then we need to pick ourselves as we do the planning, which one we are going to commence with, or is there already a systematic way in which we are going to administer the training. Especially, I can see the PPT were showing us, which is to do with virtual. So will it be some kind of like uniform? We all know that we'll start with virtual classroom, and then what follows here, this is the pattern, and then the workbook to use. Okay, this is now the workbook for this particular first part of the phase. Or is it that all, or concerning all the materials that you give us, apart from knowing that this is workbook 1, out of all the slides you give us, it's us to come up with a plan to say these are the ones we'll use, then followed by these. I think that's the part I wanted to get clarity.
Wow, that's an interesting question.
It is an
Just-
interesting question, Rita,
Yeah.
because I'm going to say Mick and I go into most of these sessions with a plan of A, and we actually do B. So we actually have slides. I don't think we've ever actually got through a full slide deck ever. So it is one of those moments where essentially you will get slides and notes, and you'll make plans, but you have to respond to what your learners need. And that might be different to what the material is, and it might be different to what's there. So you may find you do need to do that type of modification.
And I think
And yeah,
sometimes on the run we would do something totally else. We'd have a quick chat privately. Think, why don't we do this instead of what we had planned? There might be a discussion, and sometimes we'd ask some questions, and we'd spend half an hour talking, people telling stories, and so we didn't get to some of the stuff that we did. It didn't really matter. So there's more than you need really in the PowerPoints.
yeah, there is more than what you need in the PowerPoint. And so basically Mick and I have a WhatsApp group chat running in the background with things. Even say yesterday Mick made a suggestion about something and it's slightly wrong, and then I actually read the message and then went, oh yeah, no, that would have been a better way of doing it, Mick, sorry. And yeah, so I think there's a system, but you have freedom to be able to make that system work for you. If you're getting people to the spot that they're getting through the competencies and standards is probably the complicated bit.
I think the level of adaptation that you might do, that you might alter some of the language to make it more relevant to your crew. Some of the examples, perhaps, if you think back to that flipped learning activity, where you analyze the cleaning document for cultural reference, and you might think, let's alter this activity a little bit because it'll work better in a breakout room or particularly earlier on. But yeah, Robin's right. As long as you keep within the competency guidelines that the PowerPoint is based on, you should be pretty right.
Cool.
They'll soon tell you if they're not enjoying it.
This moves really nicely into the next bit, which is what we're going to do is we're going to talk about as a group all the feedback that's come through. And then almost what we're trying to look through as a group is to figure out what to change before you start doing the delivery in March. And then what might be things that you might put as what you might change and improve in the near future. So these are the first two things are the big two things from that's come back from evaluation and feedback. And the third one is that Mick and I feel like they're sort of just switching around the order a little bit. So you spend less time planning and more time doing facilitation and virtual classroom work. and earlier in the course rather than doing the design later. Cool. Mick, do you want to add anything to that? Or Daniel? Actually, you've raised your hand, so.
Yes. Good morning to you all. And I just want to find out if there are some tutorials for the use of the interface. Once a while, we are aware that it's not always the case that we're all present at all the times for the meetings. And some of the things that you have been doing, that's why people are calling for how to do breakups, how to do all these things. So if there are tutorials that we can have access to, can you give us a link to those tutorials so that we could access them and practice as well? Thank you very much.
Daniel, I have a question for you. Are they tutorials about using Zoom in the types of ways that you've seen Clint, Robin, and Mick use, or are you talking about things to do with using Moodle?
Yes, I'm referring to the use of not only the Zoom, but also the platform, how you set up all those things, so that we could also do same if possible.
Cool. Okay, so two things with let's start with the Moodle side of things. In the course on supporting self-paced learning, there's a set of videos that actually are directly around the skills you need in Moodle to be able to deliver a course. From memory, I think about 10% of people actually watch those. So Daniel, they're actually all there and really generic. In one of the early mentoring sessions, we can sit down and go through some of that as well once you've got teacher level access to the course as well. With Zoom, it sounds like we just need to do some tutorials and there's other and direct you towards some material on how to work with some of these things as well. I'll go admit breakout rooms are challenging to teach yourself how to use because you need a group of people to be able to actually see how they work. So I know when I first started using them, I got my whole team together and said, I have to figure out breakout rooms. We're going to practice going in and out of these for 10 minutes. So yeah, because I only got a small team, so people ended up in breakout rooms dancing to themselves, but then we had a lot of fun. This was during COVID, by the way. So, but yeah, that's something we can do as part of the mentoring. Does that answer, Daniel?
Yes, that answers it. Thank you very much, sir.
Cool, thank you. Bella.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, I thought there was a question. Sorry.
Oh, you've got your hand raised, Bella. Sorry.
I'll lower the hand.
Cool. Okay, sorry. Mick, have you got anything you want to add on this?
Well, the first one, there are a few case studies in there that we've tried to make relevant to your context. So I think that might be something that you could add as a discussion forum activity if you wanted to add additional experiences from your institute in blended TVET. Use it as a discussion forum activity with some open questions about, what are the lessons here for you? What would be the challenges? What would be the benefits? That sort of thing. Keep it fairly simple. The diversifying reference materials came up quite a few times. And I must admit that I've delivered a similar unit to this, but just really focusing on facilitating and creating blended learning content with our institution teachers. And generally what we've done is to say, when you do your 15-minute Zoom assessment like you did, work on your own material, work on your subject matter expert. So the carpenter will do something around carpentry. We've had some fantastic ones around mathematics and health, aged care, disability, engineering, you name it. And they've all been really interesting because they've taken the lessons on board about facilitation skills. So that really, if we think about diversifying reference materials, then in terms of adaptation, the unit that most affects is probably the one around flipped learning, I think is where we introduce the cleaning course. And we ask you a whole heap of questions about whether it's relevant to your context. And reflecting on that, it makes me wonder, interesting to see what you think, whether that's that relevant to when you get to your institutions, and whether that's where we might be able to do a bit of a prune in terms of a task or a change. So I think if people can use their own content, I've found anyway, working with Australian trainers, they seem to get it because it's easy to apply to what they do every day. And the third idea, which came out of Robin and me talking, but also quite a few of you mentioned too in the evaluation, that it'd be good to get some confidence up early with the tools, was kind of our thinking. But before you can do any planning or big picture dreaming, you might have an opportunity in your head, or your teachers might have, this blended learning, I could do this or this. It's an opportunity to learn how to facilitate, get some real confidence up, feel like you're getting somewhere, that you can do this. Whereas the templates at the start about planning, maybe a bit too big picture at that point. You could do that later at the end, give people more time to complete that, in terms of Robert's ideas of giving you a bit longer to finish the assessment. And it would be a much more meaningful product because you know what the tools can do. So that was kind of our thinking with that.
So this is what we're thinking about with the reorganization. So we have a sort of small thing at the beginning with those really fantastic videos about what is blended learning in TVET. Possibly not even doing any assessment at that particular moment. Then go into facilitating virtual classrooms, get some hands-on, get people working in groups together and working in breakout rooms on those, like we did. So you start to build lots more social cohesion earlier. And then go into the plan and flipped classroom session with your own content, not the cleaning content. And that would be, I think, really important, because I think that's actually really, having seen that, that's really hard. And then we get to 4, which was how finding out who had participated, how you write messages about the cleaning course. That's actually probably quite hard to actually get you to build. That is actually not what the course is about. The course is about delivery, not designing and developing. So that probably stays as that sort of weird, small cleaning course. But that then means the participants don't need to actually understand the cleaning course in the same way that they needed to do the flipped classroom. And then the plan.
That one's really about managing, isn't it? Managing a discussion forum. And maybe the only tweak there possibly could be, okay, you've delivered something in the classroom around your own area. Analyze what these students are doing, like people have done already, and what would be provide an example of a good discussion forum for your area. So there might be a slight little tweak there.
It's 2 things. There's the discussion topics, but also a whole, how do you deal with people who haven't participated? And
yes, and it was fascinating. It tripped a few people up, that one. It was really, it takes a bit of work, that one, really, doesn't it? It's a good activity.
It is one of the most challenging things. It's probably the best way to put it. Yeah. And then doing some of the work at the end around proposing a blended course. And then the preparing for blended delivery as well, which is actually then the designing almost the format for it as well. There's a little bit of me that thinks that 3 and 2 have a really strong crossover, with actually, because essentially most blended learning now ends up being focused on a flipped classroom approach. And that's got its pros and cons, everyone. Yeah. I'm going to just open the microphone for a little moment and see if anyone's got any thoughts or questions. The issue is, and this is what's got Mick and I really worried. We've just delivered a course to you that's actually had one particular structure, so you got familiar with it. Now, we're suggesting to restructure the course, and then you're going to be delivering a possible course that's different to the one that you've experienced. And that, I feel nervous about that, everyone.
Yeah,
It's not clear what you have just said. What I've heard is that we have a course that is structured, the one we have undergone, but I'm not very sure where you have mentioned the issue of restructuring. Maybe if you can repeat.
So at the course structure at the moment, you started with propose a blended delivery course. Then you designed, and that was your own content. Then you thought about how you're going to do the delivery for that. And then you worked with the cleaning on the flipped classroom. And then went into cleaning on self-supported. It's going to leave it at that for a moment.
May I comment? So at the top is the current structure, and at the bottom, it is what is being proposed. When I look at the top, these are, no, you can go back. When I look at the top, these are the processes for the entire program. If you look at number 1, propose a blended delivery course. If you go down to the bottom where it's pink, what is being proposed, number 1 is saying, what is blended learning? That is just a definition. It's not a process.
Yep.
And if you look at unit 1, it is a process, and it's going to include the definition of what is, how, why, where, when. That process is going to include those activities for students, for facilitator to say what it is, how, and so forth. Facilitate a virtual class, that again has to do with how do you go about facilitating a virtual class? If you look at unit 2, the point I'm trying to make is that what I'm looking at the bottom, it's going to be automatically embedded in what is already there at the top. That's what I'm basically saying. Facilitate a virtual class. That is how. If you look at unit 2 at the top, prepare for blended learning. You have to advise a student. You have to tell the students how to do it, or they share what they know, and then you give them additional information. If you look at number 3, unit 3, which is already in the structure, plan and present a flipped classroom session. That is in agreement with what is already there. 4 is in agreement with the proposed structure is the same. Number 5, facilitate a virtual class. This is going further into the practical part of things. This is going further into the practical part of things. And number 6, plan learning transfer and uptake. For me personally, I'm comfortable with the structure. I'm also accepting the suggestions, but what I'm saying about the suggestions are that they are going to somewhat come out in the structure that is already there. That's what I'm saying, basically, except for the last part where I see you have number 1 and number 2 for the proposed portion of things.
Beverly, I think I might have heard like what's happened in my mind is actually I've thought about something that's different to what you said, that could actually work really well for all of us. And I'm suggesting something that Vic and I haven't talked about. So we now need to deliver the course in 8 weeks. So what actually happens is this almost becomes like the induction week. This is week 1 and week 2. This is week 3 and 4, 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And then the content from these gets woven in and embedded in everything else. Or becomes project work at the end. Is that sort of what you're getting at? That these things really don't need to be explicitly taught?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying propose a blended delivery. That is an initiation. That is a beginning thing. That's what it.
That includes
That's
all
what-
those wonderful videos in there too, with examples from the Caribbean and Africa too.
Because one reason why that was at the beginning, because this and Chocolate, Paul and I, when we do instructional design work together, quite often we sit there and say to people, and then we actually train people on the process. And this is the current structure is the process.
It is yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is a process. You propose, you prepare, you plan, and that's what you do. But the normally proposal, they are done at the beginning.
Yeah, no, it follows the plan, but and would love to hear from here. I mean, the feedback we're getting is it's not hands-on enough in the early part because the plan and prepare is not actually hands-on enough. So what we were thinking of is sitting there going, let's switch it. Let's do some stuff that's more hands-on at the beginning. Frida?
I'm not very sure, but the way I'm getting the picture for me, I think for me, which I think might also work, the way I see it is like when we start facilitating, I like the part where you said you have made it in such a way easier for us that we concentrate more on facilitating rather than the designing part. So the way I've seen this one, it's like we may have to probably, we just begin by understanding our participants in terms of maybe their technological, maybe levels in technology and blended learning. The way I see the first part, what is blended learning, it's like we can even have the slide after we have already definitely enrolled them. We have probably had an evaluation form where we were able to find out about 1 or 2 things. But the way I see the way it is presented down, it's like maybe we even do a slide of like we have begun facilitating. It's like we do a slide on what is blended learning. That's my thought. Then we move on to another stage there, facilitate a virtual classroom. Again, we move on to some kind of now a situation where we talk about what a virtual classroom is, probably through the PowerPoint, Zoom, and all those things will be able to plan. Then number 3, plan and present. Probably we may have even a task and so on. But the way I see, for me, it's like from the way we'll start, it's like we begin facilitating, engaging the participants. Then at the far end, just to cut the story short, is once they have undergone the training and we were interacting with them, there were quizzes, there were all those things that we'll have to do. But then the last part, maybe we ask our participants, those would have selected, to say, now, are they ready to propose any course that they feel can be offered under blended, because they also need to get. That is my thought. I don't know if I'm right. That's the way I've seen the second part.
Yep, that's exactly the type of flow we're talking about Frida. That's really articulated nicely. Bella, have you got your hand up, or is it still up? Okay, Bella, I'll move on to Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Robin. Of course, I've followed the presentations from all the participants in terms of clarifications of what we're expected to do. My question is, hopefully, or just a comment, hopefully the course that we did, those links that you provided will remain on the platform, so that from time to time we can be able to revisit them and probably recall, I mean, to recall, or to remember, or to basically to get more skills about in terms of what you had given to us during this particular course. That is just my observation. Hopefully that will be done. Thank you.
So you would have your existing course and all the existing material with the existing recordings. There's two schools of thought when this type of resources are developed. One is you do the whole written session plans and slide notes, and the other one is you just give people recordings of sessions being run, and the next trainer who's coming along watches those before they do it. I personally would really like that, to sit there and go, okay, so how did someone do this last time? So that might be a whole, Jeff, you're going into being running the plan and present a flipped classroom session, and what you do is you go back and sit in and watch what I think Mick and Clint did for that particular session, and then do a whole, okay, so that's how that slide worked, or that's how that slide didn't work. Does that make sense?
Thank you,
that
thank
might-
you, thank you.
Sorry, Jeff. Jeff gave me an idea, though, that we could possibly incorporate into the existing Moodle. I know in some of the Moodles I've worked on here, we've created a course. We'll have a trainers area, which is not accessible to the learners, but in there you'll find the marking guides and the PowerPoints and maybe lesson plans. I know they're going to be on Google, but maybe in Moodle's where they should be, so that you've always got access to them when you're with just the one login. So you can access the marking guide or the PowerPoints from that particular group, and they're all consistent for everybody all the time, unless you change to alter it at your own institution. And so that's something we could consider.
Could work really well, Mick. Cool. Okay, just looking at my watch, and I think.
Do you think we should get people to talk more about this in their breakouts? See what they think, or we've nailed it.
Like my thought is that we go into breakout rooms. How do I put it? My thought is we need to do something different for a little while. We either need to stand up or we go into breakout rooms, you have a little bit of, you have a look at the course structure questions. And then just look at how you think the course could be adopted. And it might be things that could be done in the this delivery that's going to be happening in March, or it could be a delivery that's happening at a later stage. So we'll spend about 10 minutes rather than 15 minutes, and then come back and share what's been happening in those breakout rooms.
And I've shared the workbook document with this information in it in the text chat. Someone could access that and be your scribe.
So you can just click on that link and you then will download to your local computer. Now next challenge. So the breakout room is, you're talking about the course structure adaptations that you would like to be achieved. The breakout rooms,
I've done them by
Stop
country,
sharing.
but there might not be enough people. So we can move people around. So go to your country, and if we haven't got many people, we can move you to a bigger group.
we're not going to actually allocate you to breakout rooms. The breakout rooms are open. These are the breakout rooms where you need to go in and actually join them. So I shouldn't have. Actually, I'm talking differently this time. I'm talking more about like I'm talking to peers. Something that so Mick and I both do is we have spare slides hanging around. So what you do is you go down to your toolbar and you click on the 3 dots. You then see which countries are here. Then you click join. It then comes up with which ones are in progress. You press join, and then you have to press join again. Is that clear? So you come down to the breakout rooms, which may be in this ... more. Then you go, okay, cool, awesome, that's great. That's really, really good.
Sorry, I didn't get you. We can join any country,
Yep, go into country.
whichever country I choose.
Well, maybe if there's not many people in your room.
Who was that actually? Was that you, Beverly?
I join any country.
That's Frida. Frida
I
speaking.
know it's great. Sorry. I'm very good with faces. I'm terrible with names and voices. I find not turning the mic, yeah.
I said I didn't get the instruction. I join any country in the breakout group, any country.
Join your own country, but
Join
if
your
there's
own
no one
country.
in
My
there,
own
we'll move
country?
you.
My own country or any country.
Hopefully, I haven't forgotten
In
it.
country. Join the Zambia country.
Or my own
There you
country.
go.
Your own
Cam's
country.
got a few in it.
And Beverly, do you want to join and keep on talking with the Kenyans?
Yes, I
know,
will. Thank you.
I think you'll enjoy meeting June, by the way.
Yes, I will. I will.
She's the only person that's
Okay.
in that room. It's a really good solution for you.